Hello friends, I'm Daniel Chi. Today I'll be talking about something important. Something a lot of people have doubts in, some people believe in it, some people don't believe in it. I myself, I would say I believe in it, okay? But first of all, why don't you subscribe to my video? Show me some love, okay? Show me some love. Subscribe. Now, what am I talking about? Today I'm talking about ghosts. Do you believe in ghosts? Also, do you believe in reincarnation? Well, I believe in the both of them because I myself have witnessed a couple of, stuffs like that, back in my childhood days. Well, I'll start with the story of the ghost of my friend John, what he witnessed when he was doing his security duties. He was on assignment in a hospital where he was asked to look after a prisoner who was admitted in the hospital. So now he narrates his story just like this. He said that he was assigned to look after this guy who was sick. He was a prisoner admitted there. So he, as an officer, has to, you know, guard him so that he wouldn't escape. But he said this guy was so thin, so thin that you could see his bone, the flesh is almost attached to the bone. He was just lying on the bed. He said all the time this guy could just be looking. His eyes was just open all the time, looking just forward, you know. He never looked left or right. He was just there, his eyes open. He doesn't talk to anybody. He was so dried up. And then he said the head was so kind of big, Then you can picture that in your brain and imagine how this guy who was sick would look like. So he said he was there looking after him. Then, he was kind of bored. Then he could just take the newspaper because he's tired of looking at this guy because it was a little kind of weird, kind of scary just looking at someone with his eyes open looking in one direction. So he took a newspaper, just to read and pass time. So he was reading at this newspaper, reading at this newspaper. Then by the time he could turn and say, hey, let me check this guy and see what's up. Just he's turning, because he was sitting by the bedside of this guy. He just turned and he just saw this guy turned and was looking at him, eyeball to eyeball. He was a little scared, he was like, okay, let's do the eye contact challenge and let's see who will be tired. That was what he said in his mind. Then he was just looking at this guy straight to his eyes, and this guy was looking at him at a point. He was now the one taking his face away because he couldn't understand. This guy was just looking at him without blinking his eyes. Well, he started becoming a little bit scared. He was not comfortable with the way he was looking at him with just the eyes open, not talking, nothing. So a few minutes later, his colleague came in and they exchanged the shift, The colleague has to stay for the night shift while he himself, he has to go and hand over everything to the other guy. So, well, he checked out and the colleague stayed, over to the next shift. So, on his way going, it was already dark, and as a security guy and officer, so he was now going home on his street. He was a little bit scared because it was dark. So what his mom always do was to on the light, the security light outside, so that he could, at least the light could shine, so he could know who is coming and who is not coming behind him. So as an officer, he was a little scared because that area you could find these rough guys, the gang kind of guys who do drugs or, steal from people. But, he has to put his boldness intact. So, well, he was going through the dark that night. Then towards the street, there was a kind of garden somewhere. So he saw a guy walking slowly, the right side of the street, walking slowly, going towards the garden side alone in the dark. Then he was like, who could this guy be? He was wondering. But this guy was not coming or turning. So he was like, let me check who this guy could be. Maybe he's a thief or something. Then he just followed him up. Walked faster, followed him and said, hey, who are you? Then this guy turned. My God, what he saw baffled him. The guy turned and who he saw was just the same person he left in the hospital. The guy just turned and glanced at him with the eyes open, then goose pimples all over his body. He was scared, you know. He just turned immediately and just started walking fast. He walked away from him. So John walked more faster, you know, walked faster. And as he was walking faster, he was looking back. Then he saw this guy coming out from that garden side and was walking slowly, slowly. Then he could walk more faster and then rushed to his house, was knocking at the door, come, 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 knocking at the door, knocking at the door, knocking at the door. The more he was knocking at the door, he was looking back, you know, because this guy was just coming gradually, gradually towards him. He was knocking, 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 knocking. Oh my God. He said then he doesn't know what to do, whether to just go fight this person or wait and see what will happen. But luckily for him, his dad opened the door. He just rushed inside. The dad never noticed anything. But before he rushed inside, he looked back. He never saw the guy anymore. This guy who was walking slowly coming towards his direction, he never saw him. Like disappeared. So he closed the door. His dad went to his room and then he went to his own room. Man, the funny part of it was that his window was facing the same street where he saw that guy. And the window was open. So he went into his room, kind of looked through the window to see if he could see this guy, but he couldn't see him anymore. Then he stayed in his room thinking, what could this be? What could this be? Then suddenly again, he started hearing this guy murmuring around the street, like grumbling kind of sound. But he was trying to understand, what is he saying? But he couldn't understand anything. He made this noise, kind of murmuring some kind of words. But this officer guy, John, couldn't understand anything. Then he closed the window because he was starting to get scared of everything. Then he closed the window and then he brought out his phone to put on charging. Then he saw a message in his phone, which was from the officer, the other guy who he handed over the shift, you know, the night shift. Then he read the message, which was, hey, don't bother coming to work tomorrow to the hospital because the prisoner just died. Then he checked the time the message arrived, which was just 30 minutes ago. And then he remembered that it was the same 30 minutes ago that he saw this guy in the garden. You see? So now you could see that this guy, he died, you know, they say people who die tragic death, you know, their spirit never translates or go away to the other side. They still remain here, you know, trying to find peace because they died tragically. So that's about ghosts, you know. So from this story, you could see that also ghosts exist. So also, now I myself, for one, I witnessed one myself, which was back in the days. My friends were three. We're going to the lesson. So this place was a kind of bridge. There was water, you know, a kind of bridge. Then under was a kind of river. So we're passing through this place. There were bushes by the two sides, you know, of the road. So we saw this woman, this old kind of woman, maybe like 80 years old, you know. She was having a lot of loads, big things to carry. Then we're walking. She said to us, please, we should come and help her to carry these things, you know, to put on her head. Then I was looking, I was wondering, these things are heavy. How can this woman say we should put these things on her head? And my two friends were trying to go help her. And I told them, hey, don't go anywhere. This woman looks strange. You know, she looks strange. Because while we were coming, we never saw anybody there. It was only when we passed, we heard somebody saying, excuse me, my children, please come and help me put these things on. Then I said to them, don't go. I don't think this woman is human or she's real. Then they came back, you know. When they came back, we moved some steps forward and then turned back. What did we see? Nothing. The woman disappeared. Then fear gripped our soul. We ran for our life, you know. So that's one. The other one was a story of a guy who wanted to help his friend come to US and then making preparations. Unknowing to him, his friend died in accident, you know, but nobody told him. So while he was at home one day, what he saw was a knock on the door, and then he opened the door. He saw this guy carrying his bag. He was like, hey, how did you find your way here? I thought I've not even finished preparing the documents for you to come. What happened? How did you come? He said, hey, don't worry, it's a long story. I found my way, somebody helped me, blah, blah, blah. He said, but how did you get my address? He said, hi, you're just popular. I dropped at the airport and asked of you. Some people gave me address and I came over. Hey, don't worry, it's a long story. I'll explain everything later. So he was like, okay, come in. So he stayed. He said, okay, why don't you go take shower, then come out and let's, you know, hang out somewhere, have fun. He said, all right. So he led him through to the bathroom where he could have shower. On leading him coming back to the sitting room, his phone rang and he picked the call. The family of this guy, who was his friend, just asked him, hey, your friend is dead. Do you know? He said, what? How can you tell me he's dead? Stop this joke. He just came into my place now. He's not dead. He's here. You people should stop this joke. They said, we are serious. He's dead, He died on so day, an accident, car accident. He was like, could this be serious? Then he told them, okay, let me go give him the phone. They said, okay, give him the phone. Let's see. On him getting to the bathroom, he called his name. Nobody answered. Then he opened the door. He saw nobody. He was scared. He just ran out of the house screaming. So this is another story also of a ghost. This guy have died and could appear in the US also to be with his friend or something. Well, also for me also I saw personally I saw when I traveled to the village. I was with my cousins, so we asked to go buy something. I don't know the way. So they followed this shortcut, a shorter way, which was through the kind of bush where you find trees inside. So we're walking past through that place and they ran and left me. So I was a little scared because I don't know the way through this little kind of forest, where there were trees around there. So I couldn't go with them because I don't know which way they followed. So a little scared, I was like, hey, it's better I go back before I get lost here. So me coming back, I saw this girl hiding at the back. Or the only thing I saw was just her head, coming out from the tree. And she was just smiling, fair in complexion, with long hair. I was just like, who is this girl? She was just smiling, her eyes were shining, and I was coming closer and closer. The mom coming closer to the tree where I could only see the head but nobody. So she was only smiling, smiling. I was coming. Then something said to me, are you stupid? Can't you see this girl has nobody? The only thing you can see there is a head. Then I got myself. I realized myself. Then I ran. When I ran, I met my brothers. I could explain to them what I saw, but they say, hey, it's just an imagination. It's not true. But I myself knew what I saw, All through that night, I couldn't sleep. I thought this girl could appear and, tell me, hey, you saw me, blah, 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 So that's one. Also, there are so many stories of ghosts like that. Unlike when I was much younger, also, we're playing with my brothers in the room. So while we're playing, I was like, hey, I want to go eat myself in the bathroom, toilet, yeah. So I left. By the time I could finish from the toilet, I came back. Then I saw different children there, about 6 of them, or I think 6, 7. There were girls and there were guys. They were jumping on the bed. You know how children could jump on bed, playing, kind of wrestling. So they were just jumping. I came in, I saw them. I've never seen them before. I was like, who are these guys? Okay, maybe they came into our house to join us play. So I jumped on the bed. I was just jumping with them. We're laughing, pushing each other. The next thing, I jumped and I fell on the bed. By the time I could raise my head up, I saw nobody. Everywhere, the room was just empty. You could imagine. Fear was on me. I ran downstairs. I saw my brothers outside playing football with their friends. I was like, I saw ghosts. I saw them. They said, what did you see? I saw them. They are there in the room. I saw them. They were like, what did you see? I explained to them, but they said, it's not true, but I knew what I saw. So now, These are also ghosts, you know. They are also ghosts. Well, when you talk about now reincarnation, people say people die, they reincarnate, exist somewhere, blah, blah, blah. Well, there are also a couple stories like that. Like this man who got married to this lady, but they never had a child. So an armed robber came to their house, you know, some kind of guys, bad guys with guns. So they came to rob him. When they came in, breaking through the door, they came in, the man went to hide. So they asked the wife, hey, where's your husband? Where's your husband? We're here. Where's the money? The woman said, no money. My husband is not at home. They said, okay, you don't want to produce your husband. Now we are going to give, give you the bullet which was meant for your husband, So they shot at her like 3 times. So they shot at her, pow, pow, pow. And they left. They left. So when they left, after some minutes, the husband had no sound anymore. He thought that maybe they have killed his wife. So he came in. He came out from where he was hiding, from his hiding place. He saw her there, standing. Just standing. He was like surprised. He said, are you okay? She said, yes. No, he said, but did they shoot at you? She said, no. Kind of strange. She was not just standing looking strange, horrible. So he now looked at her very well. At a close glance, he could see holes on her dress, that she was putting on holes. Man, but there was no blood coming out from her body. Then he knew that this woman is strange. He ran out shouting. By the time other people could come out, his neighbors, they were asking him, what happened? He explained to them that he thinks his wife is a ghost. Wife he has lived for 5 years. By the time they could come into the house, she's nowhere to be found. She disappeared, The other one was also similar, where he married to this lady, but they were having some kind of misunderstanding. Out of annoyance, he took the knife, stabbed her so many times. After stabbing her, she was still there talking. There was no blood coming out, nothing. He ran out, the same thing. By the time friends could come into the house with him, nobody. So you see, also that is reincarnation. So this guy, there was another one of this guy who is, he was a barber. He barbs hair. He has his salon. So on coming there, a pastor saw him. He was to barb this pastor. But when the pastor sat down, there were other guys there waiting for their turn. So this pastor was like, hey, excuse me, please. I need to go. Please, can you guys allow me barb my hair so I can go in time? They said, okay, you can go. He sat down. So when this guy put the cloth they normally tie on people when they sit down on the neck, so he looked through the mirror, but he couldn't see this guy. He was like, wait, am I seeing clearly? He cleaned his eyes, but he looked through the mirror still, but he couldn't see this guy, the barber guy behind him. He told the barber guy, hey, please remove this thing from my neck. So this barber guy removed the clothes from his neck. He stood up. He asked him, who are you? He couldn't answer. He said, who are you? I'm talking to you. Who are you? This barber guy just put his head down. He couldn't look at this pastor guy eyeball to eyeball. So these other guys who were waiting was like, hey, pastor, why are you embarrassing this guy? We know him. This guy has been barbing hair here for over 2 years. What are you saying? Who are you? He now told those guys there, hey, do you know this guy is not a human being? This guy is a spirit. They laughed and said, it can't be possible. Then on him starting to pray, praying, this guy started spinning round and round and round and round and round, and then disappeared. Everybody ran away, and that shop remained like that for days. Nobody could summon the courage to go in there anymore. Then they could realize that this guy, because the pastor told them that this guy died 10 years ago in another state and came to another state to exist. You see? So it means that reincarnation, people die and reincarnate. Okay, what will you talk about the man who got married to this woman, and then the woman has been disturbing him, hey, when are we going to go to your village to see your family? Then this man could say, don't worry, next year, don't worry, he could keep posting this woman next year. So A year came when this man said, never. We must go to your village. I need to know your people. I need to know where you are from. The man said, okay, okay, we'll go. Already they have 3 children. So the woman said, okay, they were in the car. They freed the village. But on getting to the street, the man said, you guys should continue the journey. If you turn left, you could see the blue gate. That's my compound. Then you guys can wait for me there. I want to say hello to one of my good friend here. They said, okay. So they continued the journey, just not so far. So when they got to this house, the gate was open for them. They came in. The mother of the husband was like, who are you guys? He said, I'm your daughter-in-law. These are your grandchildren. I'm married to your son by name, Charles. They're like, are you sure? So the woman gathered some elders in the village and was like, hey, you guys should come and listen, see what I'm seeing. So they asked her once again, who are you looking for? She said, yeah, I'm married to this compound, I'm married to Charles. This is his village, you know. We decided to come for Christmas. The children. Then they brought a picture and showed to her, say, is this the guy you said you married to? She said, yes. Then they took her to the grave and said, look at that grave there. Whose photo are you seeing there? Then she saw the photo of her husband. Then she was shocked. She started shivering. They told her, this guy died over 15 years ago. We're surprised you're saying that he's your husband. She said, but he dropped. He said he wants to say hello to his friend there, blah, blah. He said he's coming. They said, okay, let's wait. They waited and waited. Nobody came. Even they went to that place where he stopped and said he wanted to say hello. Asked the people there, did anybody come into this compound? They said no. So now it means that guy reincarnated. So, well, this is it. So, I don't know. For me, I believe in these stories of ghosts, reincarnation, but some people don't. But what am I trying to say in all this? In all this, if you are a guy or a girl, be careful so you will not make the mistake of dating a ghost or somebody who reincarnated somewhere. Yeah, it happens. It happens. It happens, yeah. So for girls, if you are dating a guy, try to know his family to be sure that he has family, you know. Insist. Tell him, I want to see your people. I want to know your brothers. I want to know where you are from. Talk to his mother. So you'll be sure that you're not getting married to ghosts. I know some of you who are listening to me now could tell 1 or 2 stories of your encounter or stories of what you heard from friends or from other people. Reincarnation, people who died and were seen somewhere else. And because most of the time they say when you see them and try to go touch them, or when they notice that you have seen them, they disappear. So most of the time it's difficult. Nobody has ever hold them by the hand. It's very, very difficult. Very difficult. So also for guys who are, always trying to go into any girl they see, it's very dangerous too, because there was this guy who saw this girl. He traveled, he met this girl, he wanted to play fast one on her. He took her to the hotel, made love to her. They took photos, So they went to a studio, they took photos, and after everything, they said goodbye to each other. But the girl never had a phone, so he never bothered to take any contact. To him, he feel, hey, I'm a player. I've played on her. I've gotten what I want. I've made love. So what's my business? So he went back to the studio the next day to take the photos so he could show to his friends and say, this is the girl I tricked into making love with or having sex with. So, well, on getting there, the photographer who took the video said to him, wait, before I give you this photo, who was that girl you brought here? He said, I know she's beautiful. You're just looking at her when you were taking photo. He said, I'm asking you a question. Who was that girl? He said, I just saw her and, 1 or 2 things, now we are guys. He said, are you really sure you knew who you took? Just take the photos, look at them. On looking at the photos, he could only see from the neck down, but no head. Both of them took the photos, but he could see his own head, but the other girl, there was no head, only the body without head. All the photos were like that. Then he could now know that he made love with a ghost or whatever, spirit, I don't know. He called his friends, explaining to them. On coming back to the university, the campus, he showed his friends the photo. His friends said, "Now you see what we always tell you. Any girl you see, you would like to toast them and want to play fast one on them. Now you see, now we don't know what is going to happen to you now. You need to go for prayers, you know. You need some kind of deliverance." Well, that was that. So you see, guys have to also be careful. Not any girl you see, you jump into, you want to have sex with, to feel you're this sharp guy who could just bring any girl down to her knees, you know, make love to her and go away. So before you think of doing that, be careful. She could be a ghost. She could be anything, you know, spirit or whatever. Also, girls, the same thing in life, because spirits are also existing alongside with humans, you know. I know some of you have heard stories like that too. So we're not alone. Even the spirits want to have contact with humans too. Well, that is it about ghost and reincarnation. They are real, you know, they are real. Especially those who died tragically, you know. Well, so that's it. That's what I want to share. Tell me what you think. Do you have any experience? You know, you can write in the comment section. Share with me, share with others. Let's know. Do you believe in it? Has it happened? Do you hear anything from anybody? You can just write in the comment section. Also, subscribe, okay? And if you like, you can put a like on this video. Share. Thank you. I'm Daniel Chi signing out. See you in my next video. Ciao, ciao.